First Kings chapter 19. I'm reading from the NIV. Now Ahab told Jezebel everything Elijah had done and how he had killed all the prophets with the sword. So Jezebel sent a messenger to Elijah to say, "May the gods deal with me, be it ever so severely, if by this time tomorrow I do not make your life like that of one of them." Elijah was afraid and ran for his life. When he came to Beersheba in Judah, he left his servant there, while he himself went a day's journey into the wilderness. He came to a broom bush, sat down under it, and prayed that he might die. "I have had enough, Lord," he said. "Take my life. I am no better than my ancestors." Then he lay down under the bush and fell asleep. All at once, an angel touched him and said, "Get up and eat." He looked around, and there by his head was some bread baked over hot coals and a jar of water. He ate and drank and then lay down again. The angel of the Lord came back a second time and touched him and said, "Get up and eat, for the journey is too much for you." So he got up and ate and drank. Strengthened by that food, he traveled for 40 days and 40 nights until he reached Horeb, the mountain of God. There he went into a cave and spent the night. The heading of that section, the Lord appears to Elijah, and the word of the Lord came to him. "What are you doing here, Elijah?" He replied, "I have been zealous for the Lord God Almighty. The Israelites have rejected your covenant, torn down your altars, and put your prophets to death with the sword. I am the only one left, and now they are trying to kill me too." Then the Lord said, "Go out and stand on the mountain in the presence of the Lord, for the Lord is about to pass by." Then a great and powerful wind tore the mountains apart and shattered the rocks before the Lord, but the Lord was not in the wind. After the wind, there was an earthquake, but the Lord was not in the earthquake. After the earthquake came a fire, but the Lord was not in the fire. And after the fire came a gentle whisper. When Elijah heard it, he pulled his cloak over his face and went out and stood at the mouth of the cave. Then a voice said to him, "What are you doing here, Elijah?" He replied, "I have been very zealous for the Lord God Almighty. The Israelites have rejected your covenant and torn down your altars and put your prophets to death with the sword. I'm the only one left, and now they are trying to kill me too." The Lord said to him, "Go back where you came and go to the desert of Damascus. When you get there, anoint Hazael, king of Aram. Also anoint Jehu, son of Nimshi, king over Israel, and anoint Elisha, son of Shaphat, from Abel Meholah, to succeed you as prophet. Jehu will put to death any who escape the sword of Hazael, and Elisha will put to death any who escape the sword of Jehu. Yet I reserve 7,000 in Israel, all whose knees have not bowed down to Baal, and whose mouths have not kissed him." That's the word of the Lord. We may have our seats. If you remember this story, Elijah has just come from a mountaintop experience. Earlier he had said it wouldn't rain. And when the Bible gives us that statement, it's almost not as if God sent him to say. It's like Elijah. In fact, when James talks about it in the New Testament, he says Elijah was a man like us, and yet he said it wouldn't rain, and it didn't rain. So it's almost like Elijah pronounced judgment on Israel because he was a prophet of God and he could. So Elijah is coming from a mountaintop experience. He has just had a showdown with 850 prophets. He has mocked them, he has scoffed at what they are doing, and he has called fire from heaven, and fire actually came from heaven. Just we have sung that he answers with fire. So Elijah is coming from this place. In fact, he has even killed the 850 prophets that had been competing with him on the mountain. And after he kills them, he tells Ahab to go, and Elijah actually runs on foot and passes Ahab's chariot. And he should have been on top of the world. He should have been at that place where he's saying that, yes, my God is alive, my God is powerful. But when Jezebel threatened his life, Elijah got scared and ran for his life. It's been said that the most dangerous time for a Christian is just after you've had a victorious time. When you've had a great encounter with God, that can be the most dangerous time for you because your guard is down, you're in that place of celebration, you're happy at what God has done, and for a moment, you don't even give the enemy a thought. And at that time, the enemy can come and attack you. So the enemy came and hit Elijah hard. And when Paul talks to the Corinthians, he reminds them that if you think you're standing firm, be careful that you don't fall. And so Elijah has come from this mountaintop experience, and immediately he's attacked. And there's some interesting things to notice about how Elijah responds to this whole situation. First of all, he runs, but for the first part of the journey, he runs with his servant. Then they get to a place, and Elijah leaves his servant. So here he is, he's afraid, he's running for his life, but he's running alone. He has left at least the one person that he could have been there to encourage him. So he leaves his servant in Beersheba and runs off on his own. And Elijah is so depressed, he tells God, I have had enough, let me die. And chapter 18 and chapter 19 are so different because chapter 18, Elijah was this confident prophet. And then all of a sudden in chapter 19, he's like, take my life, I want to die, I want to be with my ancestors. And it's interesting what physical fatigue can do to us, regardless of who you are. Our bodies are flesh and blood. We get tired, we get sick. So when Elijah gets to the broom tree, he lies down and falls asleep. Fast asleep. So when the angel wakes him up and tells him to eat, I'm surprised that Elijah just woke up and ate. I don't know if it's a prophet thing. Like you're in the desert, someone wakes you up and there's food cooking. And he doesn't ask, he eats, and then he goes back to sleep. And then the angel wakes him up again, and there's food, and he just wakes up. It's not like you'd think you'd go like, wow, there's food, an angel made food for me. But like he woke up, he ate. And sometimes when we are down and depressed, we don't even notice the things that are happening around us. We are so blinded by our own grief, our own sadness, that we do not see even what is miraculous around us. So Elijah gets up and eats. And whatever food that was that the angel had prepared, the Bible tells us that he traveled for 40 days and 40 nights on the strength of that food. So that was some miraculous food there that Elijah was given. But it's also very touching how God deals with Elijah during this time of despair in his life. So, first of all, he's gone, he's in the cave. And it's not like, he's already told God, I want to die. But we find here that God comes to him and tells him, Elijah, what are you doing here? As in, God didn't even wait for him to come and start begging and praying again. God comes to Elijah and says, what are you doing here? And that's all Elijah needed, to be asked. That's all he needed because he pours everything out. I have been zealous for you, Lord. The Israelites have rejected you. They have torn down your altars. They have put your prophets to death. I'm the only one left. And now they want to kill me too. As you read that verse, it's Elijah's pain that he's talking. Because I am sure from what we've read, you know that some of what Elijah is saying is not exactly true. The Israelites have, in chapter 18, when fire came from heaven, the whole community of the Israelites fell down in worship. And they cried out and saying, the Lord, he is God, the Lord, he is God. So there's been a revival beginning. But Elijah is so depressed that he doesn't see what God is doing. And then he says that, all the prophets have been put to death, I'm the only one left. And if you had read chapter 18, Obadiah had told him, I've actually hidden 100 prophets and I have been feeding them to protect them from Jezebel. But Elijah feels like I'm alone, no one is there, I'm the only one who is left. And now they are trying to kill me. The Israelites are not trying to kill Elijah. It's Jezebel who's trying to kill Elijah. But Elijah is so depressed and in despair, even whatever he's saying is not exactly as it is. And then God calls him out, and then God asks again, "What are you doing here, Elijah?" And Elijah repeats the same thing. "Oh, I've done this. Oh, they're trying to kill me. Oh, this." And then God doesn't respond to Elijah's situation. He doesn't sit and tell him, "Oh, you know." God sends him back. God says, "Go back the way you came." God's work will always continue. And God is, in a way, encouraging Elijah, because he doesn't just, he tells him, it's almost like you still have some work that I want you to do. And with everything that you have said, I still want to send you. I'm not through with you yet. So God tells Elijah, "Go do this, go do that, and go do the other." And after he's given Elijah his marching orders, given him the assignment that Elijah is supposed to do, and then at the end, God says, "Oh, and by the way, I have 7,000 people who haven't bowed their knee yet to Baal. So you're not alone. You're not the only one. I have other people who are ready to do my will, who are living according to my will." And sometimes you are where Elijah was. "Oh, no one understands me. I am going through so much, and there seems to be no one who really knows what I'm going through. No one cares." But God already knows what you're going through. And he wants to help you face whatever it is that you're going through. But I'm glad that Elijah felt confident enough to tell God that this is what I'm going through. Because we are human. We are not made of metal. So when we feel pain, and the pain is real. So Elijah is honest. And sometimes as Christians, maybe you walk into church and people ask you, "How are you?" And you say, "I'm fine. Jesus is the Lord. God is good." And honestly, deep inside, you're struggling. But we almost feel like it's our duty to say, "I'm fine." And yet, God has provided this community of believers so that if I'm struggling, I should be able to say, for real, I'm not doing well. So that you can be my brother, so you can be a brother's keeper to me, so that you can hold my hand, so that you can pray with me and encourage. Because that's what Elijah did not do. He didn't look around for other believers that could share the burden with him. He closed himself in and felt, "I'm alone, no one understands, everyone is trying to kill me." And yet, there were other believers within the country of Israel that Elijah could have had fellowship with. So God has provided for us a community of believers to be able to bear the burden with us, to be able to carry those heavy burdens together. And the Bible encourages us in Hebrews chapter 10 that do not forsake the coming together of believers, because that's where we encourage one another. That's where we walk together with one another. And Paul in 1 Corinthians 10 says that whatever it is that you're going through is common to man. Other people have gone through it. So those times that you're feeling like I'm the only one going through this, there's someone within your circle of friends who has actually gone through what you're going through, and God can use them to encourage you. Sometimes we are so overwhelmed that we just maybe need to rest. Elijah needed to rest. He needed to sleep. He needed to eat. He needed to rest. And when we step back a little bit from the craziness of what we are going through, just to have a good night's rest, just to be able to eat, that strength that we get from even just physical food may help us see whatever we are going through in a different light. So I don't know, you may be in a place this afternoon where you're feeling like you're alone. You're feeling like your world is caving in on you, like your world is crashing you down, or your problems are crashing you down. God is reminding us that he has put us in families. He has put us in his family, the family of faith, where you can reach out to, because here we've come to pray, because people who don't know God are not coming to pray. So even here in this congregation now, you can go to someone and say, "Can you please pray with me? I'm going through this, could you please pray with me?" And I'm sure they'll be glad to pray with you. You may be in a place where you are at a good place, but you know someone who's going through a difficult time, then you can step into their space and offer to pray with them and even to give them a listening ear. But most important, God invites us to talk to him. In Matthew chapter 11, he says, "Come to me, all you who are weary and heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls, for my yoke is easy and my burden is light." God was very gentle with Elijah, even as he was going through this difficult time. And just the way he understood where Elijah was at, God understands where we are at. So here today, as a community of believers, do not suffer alone, do not struggle alone. Anyone here can be able to hold your hand, and even if it's just for this period of time, to pray with you, and maybe as you talk, they may have the solution that you're looking for. So don't be overwhelmed. Being overwhelmed is human, and you will be overwhelmed, but don't stay with your overwhelm alone. Talk to someone and let them be able to hold your hand. So this afternoon, do not pray alone if you need someone to pray with you. Just walk to someone and let them pray with you.